I call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let the record reflect that Director Hayes is absent. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to drop item H off the agenda. It's
The board compensation.
Yes.
I'm not going to be here at the next meeting, and so I would really like to have a conversation about this. We can avoid a vote if that's what you're asking,
Yeah,
since
that's what
Director Hayes isn't here.
I wanted the full board to be able to talk and discuss about it. So we'll wait until everybody's here.
You're not open for a conversation today, even though and just not vote on it?
We could have a conversation, but I know that other people have things that they might want to add to it, so.
We think, Mr. Burtz. Should we ask?
Yeah, I asked the attorney. I think it's
Mr. Miliband, are we allowed to have a discussion on agenda item H without putting it to a vote, or do we need to remove the whole item and bring it back?
I was just skipping over to H to confirm how it's agendized. And it is on there as continued and new items for potential action, but given what's been discussed so far, I think you could have the discussion without taking action today, or put it all over until another meeting, as one director said, until everyone is there. So your choice.
Consensus? Do you want to have do you want to talk about it tonight, or do you want to move it to the first meeting in August?
I'm actually good with August. I'm
Good.
with that.
Okay.
As long as, if we're gonna put it off, we need to make sure we're all here the next time. Yeah,
Okay.
so if someone's absent, we should put it off, I guess, again.
All right. So, safe. With that, may I have a motion to approve the agenda with changes?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with changes.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The agenda is approved. Moving on to public comment. There are no members of the public in person, but I have Cheryl Roden online. Do you have a public comment at this time?
No, I'll raise my hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to community reports. I have no community members in person or online. So moving on to item 3, consent items. Does anyone have anything they would like to pull?
I have a question on E, so.
Okay,
pull E,
we'll
I
pull
guess.
E, and I would like to pull item 3C, please. So we will look for a motion to approve consent items with removing C and E.
I motion to approve.
I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. Moving on to matters removed from consent items. Starting with 3C, I wanted to just double check real quick the amount for that conference and everything. Is that included in the last fiscal year or the next fiscal year?
This will be in the current fiscal year, starting July 1st.
Okay.
So, next fiscal year.
We're
Well,
actually
we're
in this one
July,
right now.
so-
Oh, we are in July.
Yeah, we barely made it. This is our first meeting, and
Apologize for that.
yeah, no, that's okay. I did the same thing.
Okay,
Where is the year going? I don't know.
okay. So
Current.
in a sense, then it wouldn't be an over budget limit request if it were for the current fiscal year.
That is correct.
So, go ahead.
It originally was going to go on the June meeting at the end of June, and then that one was canceled, so
Okay.
it got moved forward. And at that time, part of it would have been in last fiscal year, and part of it would have been in this year.
Okay,
But now, it's just,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I guess if you look at it technically, you would not even have to bring this item on this agenda because it is in the current year. So
Right,
you're
right.
absolutely correct.
Okay. So yeah, so technically, we don't even need to approve it as an over budget item.
That's correct. It is not an over budget
Okay.
item.
Wes, anything special that we need to do there then?
No, I think that open discussion clarifies what existed before doesn't exist now, given the start to the new fiscal year.
Okay, great. Perfect, thank you. All right, and then you had a question 3E.
Sorry. Yes. On the last page, which is 60, I was curious, I couldn't match it up to anything, on the auto expense mileage reimbursement. Mileage reimbursement's pretty self-explanatory. What kind of auto expense would we have? I couldn't find an example of.
For which one? This would be, I believe it would include mileage, or if they're, probably mileage would be the majority. I could look at the breakdown. David's not here.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can get that information for you.
Because if I'm thinking correctly, things like airplane, car rental, all of that's going to be under the travel, right?
Yes, that would not
That's
be
what I
under
thought.
the auto expense. Now, whether it'd be like a rental car that falls under that, I would have to look at that.
Okay.
I wasn't prepared for that.
I do believe when I discussed it with David, the rental car did fall under that.
Oh, it does?
Could possibly be fuel or parking expenses as well.
Fuel, probably for a rental car, not for,
Correct.
okay, that makes sense.
And then maybe for parking at the airport, that
Ah.
kind of thing?
Okay. That helps me.
that
I
makes
just
sense.
was kind of curious what that would include. Thank you.
Okay, and when we come back and have that discussion later on, we can actually include all of that information. I think the board should have everything.
Perfect, thank you. All right. So since we have those, so now we're basically just going to approve item 3E, so I need a motion to approve that.
Correct.
I motion to approve 3E.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion passes. Perfect. All right, number 5, no presentations and appointments. So we will move on to item 6, public hearing on standby and availability fees for 25-26. All right. I declare the public hearing on water standby and availability fees now open at 5:07 PM. May we have the secretary's report, please?
Yes, at this time, I'd like to report the district has received 0 written protests, objections, or comments regarding the water standby and availability fees.
Thank you. May we have the attorney's report, Mr. Miliband?
Yes, thank you. On May 14th, 2025, the Board of Directors adopted Resolution Number 2025-03, initiating proceedings to fix, levy, and collect water standby assessments for the fiscal year 2025 to 2026, and the hearing date was scheduled for today, July 9, 2025. Notice of public hearing was published in the Mountaineer Progress on June 19, June 26, and July 3, 2025. In addition, the notice was posted at the district office and on the district's website beginning on June 19, 2025. Copies of the report were made available in the district office for public review. Compliance with all legal requirements for the hearing are within the manner and time specified by applicable law. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miliband. May we have the staff report, please?
Thank you. The water standby charge report identifies each parcel of land within the district's boundaries that has acreage located within 660 feet of a water line. The preliminary report was filed with the Secretary on June 30th, 2025. The updated report details 3,884 parcels, resulting in a total assessment of $293,453.80. The amount may change if any additional parcels connected to the system before the final report is submitted to the county in August of 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. At this time, we will now open the public hearing for public comment. Okay. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion passes, and the public hearing is closed at 5:10 PM. All right, moving on to 6B, discussion and possible adoption of Resolution 2025-07, establishing water standby and availability fees for 25-26. Mr. Burns.
Thank you. Staff's recommendation is for the board to adopt resolution number 2025-07, establishing water standby and availability fees for 2025 and 2026.
All right, any questions or comments? No? All right, I will motion to adopt Resolution 2025-07.
I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion passes. Okay. C, public hearing on delinquent water user charges. I declare the public hearing on delinquent water user charges now open at 5:11 PM. May we have the secretary's report, please?
Yes, at this time, I would like to report that the district has received one written protest, objections, or comments relating to the delinquent water user charges. That's it.
Thank you. May we have the attorney's report, Mr. Miliband?
Yes, thank you. Notice of public hearing was published in the Mountaineer Progress on June 19, June 26, and July 3, 2025. In addition, the notice was posted at the district office and on the district's website beginning on June 19, 2025. Notice of delinquency and hearing were also mailed to all delinquent users on June 12, 2025. Copies of the report were made available in the district office for public review. Compliance with all legal requirements for the hearing are within the manner and time specified by applicable law. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miliband. May we have the staff report, please?
Yes, the delinquent water user charges report was filed with the Secretary on July 2nd, 2025, and includes 558 customer accounts totaling $156,104.62. The report reflects each affected parcel of real property and the total amount of charges and delinquencies as of June 30th, 2025. The final list will be submitted to the County of San Bernardino for collection no later than August 10th, 2025, and will be updated as necessary prior to submission.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. At this time, we will now open the public hearing for public comment. Okay. Hearing none, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close the hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion passes, and the public hearing is now closed at 5:13 PM. Moving on to 6D, discussion and possible adoption of Resolution 2025-08, confirming, modifying, and then confirming the report of delinquent water user charges for the purpose of collecting said charges on the San Bernardino County tax roll. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you. Staff's recommendation is for the board to adopt Resolution 2025-08, confirming or modifying, then confirming the report of delinquent water user charges for the purposes of collecting said charges on the San Bernardino County tax roll.
All right, questions or comments? No? All right. Would someone like to motion?
I'll motion to accept Resolution 2025-08.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. Moving on to 6E, public hearing on ordinance 2025-01, setting compensation for the district's board of directors. I declare the public hearing on ordinance 2025-01, setting compensation for the district's board of directors, now open at 5:14 PM. May we have the secretary's report, please?
Yes, at this time, I would like to report the district has received 0 written protests, objections, and comments regarding ordinance 2025-01.
Thank you. May we have the attorney's report, Mr. Miliband?
Yes, thank you. Notice of public hearing was published in the Mountaineer Progress on June 19, June 26, and July 3, 2025. In addition, the notice was posted at the district office and on the district's website beginning on June 19, 2025. The proposed ordinance was made available in the district office for public review. Compliance with all legal requirements for the hearing are within the manner and time specified by applicable law. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miliband. May we have the staff report, please?
Yes, on May 28th, 2025, the board directed staff to begin the process to set board compensation to $150 per compensable meeting. The last time the ordinance was amended was February 19th, 2020, when the compensation amount was adjusted from $110 to $120 per compensable meeting. In order for the ordinance to be adopted, a public meeting must first be held. Following the public hearing and adoption, the ordinance will go into effect 60 days after adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. At this time, we will open the public hearing for public comment.
I have a public comment.
Go ahead, Mr. Bartz.
My comment is simply that I am in favor of this ordinance. A couple of years ago, there was discussion on the board about whether or not to provide more compensation, and I made a comment at the time that I felt that it was important that the board be compensated better than they were, because in my opinion, people perform better when they are properly compensated for their work. I feel like the board of directors is a very important position in this community, with decisions being made that impact the community, not just now, but 10, 15, 20 years down the line. And I also feel, not pointing fingers at this time, but I feel that there have been times throughout the past where it does not seem like board members have necessarily been willing to put in the requisite effort, that they have prioritized other things in their life over the attention and focus needed to be a director on the board for this community. And so it is my opinion that it can only be a good thing to pay the board more, to encourage the board to be fully doing their job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. All right, any other public comment? Ms. Roden?
Yeah. I heartily support this increase, and if you could go higher, I'd support that too. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, with that, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That one actually needs a roll call vote.
Yes, we need a roll call vote for this one.
Are we still in the public hearing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. No,
Yeah. No
all
roll
right.
call for the public hearing.
No roll call. We're good. You're right. She's talking about the last one. All right, so we all said aye. There were no nay votes, so the motion passes and the public hearing is now closed at 5:18 PM. Thank you. All right, moving on to 6F, discussion and possible adoption of ordinance 2025-01, setting compensation for the district board of directors. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you. This is the item that the public hearing was just held on. And should the board decide or desire to adopt an ordinance 2025-01, they must do do so by a roll call vote. If adopted, the ordinance will take effect 60 days after the adoption or on September 7th, 2025. Staff's recommendation is for the board to adopt ordinance number 2025-01, setting compensation for the district's board of directors by roll call vote.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments, or discussion? No? All right. Would someone like to motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Motion to adopt the ordinance 2025-01, setting compensation for the district's board of directors.
All right, I will second that. And then we need to do a roll call vote.
Now I will do the roll call. vote. Director Schneider.
Yes.
Director Mills.
Yes.
Director Phillips, or Vice President Phillips.
Yes.
And President Kuyama.
Yes,
All right, thank you.
thank you. And with that, the motion passes. Thank you. All right, moving on to 3G, discussion and possible action regarding California Special District Association's Board of Directors election, term 2026 to 2028, seat B, Southern Network. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you. I've represented our southern section for CSDA for the past 5 years now, and I'm up for election this year, which is the seat B. There are 3 people running: Don Bartz, Jason Duffhorn from Valley Sanitary District, and John Scarbalis and from Rubidoux Community Services District. And staff is looking for, making a recommendation that they vote for a person to represent them for seat B on the special districts.
All right, thank you. Questions, discussion? No? Go ahead. I know you want to.
I move that we nominate Don Bartz for this position.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll have at least one vote.
Perfect.
It's a start.
It's a start. All right, all right. Item H was removed, so we will move on to I, which is update on district projects.
I'm going to turn this over to Assistant General Manager George Cardenas.
Engineering manager here to go over a few updates on a couple of projects. I'll start with the Phelan Park Enhancement Project. I think we had mentioned mobilization would take place July 7th. That was the anticipated date. I just confirmed with the contractor, and as scheduled, it was for August 12th. Now, they hope to break ground, or let's just say mobilize, probably in the next couple of weeks. Submittals on all the shop drawings have been submitted and approved quickly, so that kind of helps speedy the project along for mobilization. So with that being said, we're still on target for completion, probably the end of November, and then potentially a groundbreaking the first week of December. So that hasn't changed from the schedule that was presented to the board at the last board meeting. The feeling, any questions on a park inspection? No? The park expansion, that 14-acre project, I'm going to have to make another announcement on a delay from the Board of Supervisors on approving the NOD on the project. It's been moved for August 5th. With Steno's help and the district, we kind of expressed our frustrations in us moving forward with the mitigation on the Joshua Tree on that parcel, which affects the Civic Center project. They had promised that it would be. Apparently, the meeting that was scheduled for this item was canceled, and it was pushed into August. So that's the plan. So we've been on the senior planner to keep it on the agenda. We've been waiting since February to get this scheduled, and we've been itching to move this project forward. With the Joshua Tree, California Department of Fish and Wildlife initially were looking at putting a vote in for the plan at the end of June. Well, they pushed that out a couple of months, and they are seeking public comment no later submitted by July 10th. So they're still evaluating the changes to the plan. So in a way, we have a little bit of time before that plan is adopted by the commission. So, oops, sorry about that. A little finicky on the iPad. I don't know if you guys are having problems with the iPad, but I can just wave and it just disappears. Any questions on the 14-acre project? Then I'll move on to the Civic Center project. We met with CPM, that's the construction management team on the project itself. I'll pause here.
Yeah, we just don't vote on anything.
Could I begin? Okay, sorry. The Civic Center project, we met with the consultant, the construction management team this morning, CPM, in regards to the constructability review, the cost estimate of the project, as well as the bid documents review. The cost estimate is a big discussion on what the estimated cost for the project was brought to the board a couple months ago, the $12.5 million. They will have that completed based on what's going on in the environment with tariffs and cost of services and things like that. They will have that cost estimate prepared by July 16th for review. Then we're going to have a meeting with them on the 21st to kind of discuss this in more detail. With that being said, there's also an urgency to move forward with the procurement of the electrical equipment. There is a 24-month lead time on that. They had proposed that we can expedite that for an additional cost. They will provide us what that's going to look like. I thought it was a percentage on the purchase of the equipment. It's not quite that. It's a certain amount. I'm not sure what that is. Neither does the neither does the consultant. So we should be hearing something about that probably in the next week or so. And that kind of leads on as well as once that comes to our attention of what that is, that we would have to move forward in purchasing that before we even break ground. So there's a lot of discussion. I don't know, Mr. Bartz has anything to add to this?
Yeah, there's so many things that are happening that require input, review, and discussion. And we had talked earlier about the potential of having maybe an ad hoc committee for the civic complex, so we can get people together and at least let the board know where we're at and get feedback from the board. So one of the things I'd like to do is see if there's an appetite to form an ad hoc committee. I hate to have too many committees, but I think it's important for this one to have somewhere where we can get them together quickly and have some discussions and then bring it back to the board. At least we could move forward with some of these parts of the projects.
Do we have time to wait until the full board is here to get a consensus on who would be interested in doing that, or are you looking to make a decision?
Well, it's probably looks like we may be a month before we have a full board back together. So that might be pushing the time limit. You could have an ad hoc committee, and I believe you could modify the members of an ad hoc committee if necessary. Based on availability, because I'm not sure who's available and who's not. Mr. Miliband, is there thoughts on what was just posed?
I have a question.
We'll wait for him. Yeah, go ahead.
The ad hoc.
I have a question to
Can you hear me,
add to it.
Mr. Bartz?
Also in between meetings, could the ad hoc be changed based on who's on and unavailability at that point? In between meetings even?
Yeah, I think if it were an initial committee set and then a change made might be okay, and Mr. Miliband would have to talk about that. But if it were to be like a kind of a rolling
Constant.
committee, who's available this week, I would not recommend that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I think you could form an ad hoc, even have an alternate, so that would make it even more transparent and easier to have an alternate substitute in or even replace if that's the action taken by the board. If there's a strong desire to form an ad hoc tonight, we don't have it on the agenda for tonight. But if there's a time urgency, if that's part of what Mr. Cardenas, and to his point about time urgency, if it applies to this or some other time urgency, then I think you could, but then I would just ratify it at the next meeting so that you can at least get business taken care of.
So you're saying that we could, if it was determined to have an ad hoc committee, it could be kind of informally assign people to the committee tonight and then ratify it at the next board meeting?
Right, yeah, it wouldn't be the official ad hoc, but the non-majority of the board, if you have 2 board members and there's a strong interest and some need for it, which sounded like there is, then yes, then I think you could form that and even have an alternate on there if you wanted that. Maybe that's overcomplicating it, but I think you could do that. And then, of course, at the next meeting or at the next full meeting, if that's what you preferred, then yes, having a formal action item to officially form the ad hoc.
Yeah, unless George has some concern about items that we, would need to address. The item that I could see coming up is if we have a cost estimate within the next week or so, I believe, to begin discussing. We don't know where the cost estimate's going to come in. We started this project 10 years ago. We've had estimates along the way, tariffs, so there has been some things changed. But maybe we don't have to assign one tonight. Let's let this cost estimate come in, and we will consult with the board president. And if we think that between now and the next meeting of the board, we need to have a committee, we could have the board president assign one, which could be then ratified at the next meeting if we needed it.
Yeah, I think that sounds
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. Was that all, George?
No.
No?
Just a little bit. No, leave my button alone. Just a couple items. We call it the SWEEPY, the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan. It has to get updated. That's going to take a little bit of time. That it expired on September of this year. There's an arc flash study pending, so we're working with that. So they did provide a schedule based on these pending items to go out to bid. There is an asterisk on when we would move forward in presenting this to the board with a couple items. I mean, there's a pause on the Edison relocation for the power poles for the enhancement, so that plays into the Civic Center project. So there's a lot of moving parts that we're still working through. But tentatively, we have a notice of completion for this project of May 25th, 2027, considering that we're working through this obstacles that we're dealing with right now. So going out to bid, we have tentatively for August, the end of August sometime. So that's the schedule. But what's more important than anything is the electrical and moving forward with that. And it's 24 months. We really have to have that in place before they get into the finishing of the project. We don't want to see peeling of laminate or whatever that might be, and so it's important to have that in place then.
How soon could we approve that electrical panel? And could it be approved next week? What are we waiting on to give that approval?
We did reach out to Cal OES on the requirements for the purchase of the switchgear and electrical equipment. And it doesn't need to be competitive bid, so we can bring that to the board. We just don't have that in place yet. Probably be available by next week. We're going to have a package here prepared for the board probably in August.
Okay.
So that'll be presented to the ad hoc committee.
Yeah. And if necessary, we could have a special board meeting in between. to make sure we don't fall further behind with some of the delays.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, so there is we can expedite, I don't know, they use some choice words, but you can expedite the 24-hour month access to, or purchase of the equipment with the cost. They can get it within 14 months. So how interesting is that, right? Yeah, so we're waiting on that, what that's going to look like. So
Okay.
it's a cost thing. But we're getting a proposal for that, and we should have it available for the ad hoc committee if one is formed. With that, I have no further updates unless you have any questions.
Nope. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, moving on to item 7, committee reports. Engineering, we did not meet last month, correct? Yeah, we did not
We have a
meet.
meeting next week.
See, Gina didn't know it was July, and I don't have any idea what I'm
Yeah,
doing,
I believe
so.
we have a meeting next week.
We do have a meeting next week, thank you. I actually have that on my calendar. All right, Finance Committee.
Our next meeting is July 29th. Thanks for those who rescheduled that for me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. And Legislative?
We met prior to our last meeting, and we meet in August or September. I don't remember right now.
See, none of us know where we're
September
at.
9th.
September. Oh, there we go, September 9th.
There you go. All right, Park and Rec, we haven't met since the last time we reported on that. And Waste and Recycling?
We met the week after our last meeting and went over the current numbers, and the recycling numbers continue to improve. And less contamination, hopefully we continue down that path.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 8, Staff and General Managers Report. Anything to add?
I have nothing to add.
All right, Directors Reports. Director Mills?
I'm good.
Vice President Phillips?
I attended the ASB CSD meeting, and they had a game for community outreach that was really fun. I don't remember the name of it right now. However, it had to do with things to do with water and other community things, and it was much like bingo. So it was very connecting to the community about the words that we use around water and plants and things like that. So enjoyed that a lot. I attended the Joshua Tree presentation and was very happy to hear that the permits for homeowners will be zero cost. So you'll be able to find more on their website about that. And I have a statement to make. So I want to thank you for this time. I want to speak from the heart tonight. I don't want to think that I'm being singled out, but it's hard not to think when my requests for travel or meeting stipends are the ones that seem to bring extra scrutiny. It's not for doing too little, but for doing more than most. It's hard to swallow that when every step I take comes from a place of deep commitment and love for this community. My path here hasn't been traditional. Due to life circumstances, I wasn't able to finish college, but that never stopped me from pursuing knowledge. I've leaned into conferences, trainings, and every learning opportunity I could find. Some of you may not need extra training or have the time to go to conferences. I make the time and bring home my invaluable insight that add to my ability to serve as a director of the CSD. Most of my education has come from the School of Hard Knocks. Real life struggles have taught me more than any classroom ever could. I have seen those lessons better serve our community, hopefully with humility, resilience, and growth. I've used these opportunities to build my communication skills and connect with others across the state who share this mission of service. I've learned the language of governance, the weight of responsibility, and how to advocate efficiently and effectively. One area I'm in particular proud of is my advocacy for solid waste guidelines that make sense for our rural community. Too often we are handed urban solutions that simply do not work for us. I fought for policies that reflect our reality, practical, affordable, and sustainable solutions for the people who live here. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to overcome. I bring that spirit with me to the table. I don't deserve don't serve for recognition. I serve because I care. I truly hope this will be the last time I'm targeted for my position. But let me be clear, I will never apologize for giving my all. I will continue to serve with integrity, compassion, and unwavering commitment for our district and community deserves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have nothing to report. Moving on to item 10, correspondence and information. Ms. Williams?
Yes. We have in here the second quarter update from Rojas Public Affairs. And we have our summer flyers for the kids' painting classes, kids' archery lessons, and our movie nights. And then we have a flyer on learning how to look for leaks. And then our last one is the notice of water rate change, that the rates were increased effective 7/1. And that is all.
Thank you. All right, number 11, review of action items. Were there any prior meeting action items?
Where did my paper go? I think we completed all of them. Oh, yeah, it's right here. Yes, we completed the items from last time.
Great. And current meeting action items?
I have on here to bring back item 6H, which was for the resolution 2025-06 to the first August meeting, and also to provide clarification of the auto expense mileage reimbursement.
Great. Awesome, thank you. All right, and then that leads us to setting the agenda for next meeting, July 23rd. I will not be here, and I will not be available for Zoom. So if we don't have a lot going on, there could be a possibility that we might cancel that meeting. We'll know.
Absolutely. If something comes up, we will talk to the board of whether it's need to agendize it or put it off till the next meeting. Okay.
Great, thank you very much. All right, and at this time, we are going to recess to close session at 5:40 p.m. Thank you.